flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Secretary, can we have a roll call?
First, Chairman, this meeting has been advertised in accordance of the Open Public Sunshine Law. Roll call, Mr. Candell.
Here.
Ms. Larman. Mr. Mueller.
Here.
Mr. Shaw.
Here.
Ms. Sataka. Mr. Velosin. Mr. Williams.
Here.
Councilman Zabrowski.
Here.
Chairman Ty.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Memorialization of resolutions, application number PD 24-01.
And that's Chickle LLC, Freddie Hernandez and Lucy Perez, 00 and 60 Cleveland Avenue, Block 360, lots 191 through 194. Motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
We'll do a roll call. Mr. Candell.
Yes.
Ms. Larman. Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Ms. Sataka. I'm sorry, Mr. Mueller.
I have to abstain. I wasn't there.
Thank you.
Oh,
You,
I
you,
abstain also. I wasn't here August 20th.
you weren't here August 20th?
No.
No? Okay. Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Ty,
Yes.
and Councilman Zabrowski.
Yes.
You'll abstain.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Definitely the minutes of the August 6th and 20th meeting.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Communication agenda,
none this evening.
site subplan subdivision hearings, informal application, John Milky subdivision, and Pyramid Avenue, Sayreville.
Just because this is the board's first informal or conceptual application this year, the municipal land use law does allow an applicant to put forth a informal application in which they kind of give a not fully engineered plan to the board to kind of get their pulse and the temperature of the board and see whether or not it may make sense for them to retain professionals and bring a formal application. So anything the board says is non-binding in this informal review.
Yes, hi.
Come on up, give your name and,
John Mylick, 7 Furman Ave.
John, what's up?
Yes, I'm trying to subdivide my lot into 60/40 on a R75 lot. Trying to build a house for my daughter, so she just had a baby and everything's so expensive, so, I just want to see if I'm able to do something like that. I mean, 2 lots.
So, your property,
My property is 100 by 100.
right, and so it currently meets the standard for the R7 zone.
Yes,
You're looking to create 2 lots, which neither of.
neither
both
one
would
of
be
them.
undersized.
Yes,
Traditionally, applications where you're creating 2 undersized lots are very difficult. You need to demonstrate there's a sort of there's a prevailing development pattern of similarly sized lots within the area.
well, the 2 lots across the street are 40 foot each. So I figured I would mirror that with the 1 lot, and my lot would be larger than that lot. And the other lots behind me are 50 feet each. So I'm somewhere in a area of the same size.
What you're telling us is that the majority of the lots around you are undersized.
I would say probably 3/4 of them, yes.
How far away? 250 feet away, 3 blocks away, 2 blocks?
No, the 2 are directly across the street. The ones behind my property, directly behind me, are 50 feet wide each. The one next to that one's 50 foot, and adjacent ones going down my side of the street are also 50 foot.
I have the tax map pulled up at the moment. It's just a little bit tough to discern which lots are consolidated. So typically when we look at applications like this, we look within 200 feet of the property. We look within 500 feet of the property and, expand it out to the zone limit. If there's again, a prevailing development pattern where they're similarly sized, oftentimes that is a good argument for what is proposed. But in addition to that, you would need to really get an idea of the size of the homes as well. What size home were you thinking about building for your daughter?
Approximately 1,400 square feet.
Okay, so the other thing we would want to make sure is that that size home is also consistent with the area. So you don't want a very small home that's surrounded by other large homes. The same, you don't want a very large home that's surrounded by.
I mean, the
small homes.
majority of the homes, except for my home, are pretty much similar to that, maybe 1,400, 1,500, maybe even smaller across the street, probably 900, a couple of them 900, and they just built a brand new two-family on the corner where Spare Time used to be. So, I mean, I don't want to have to go that route to try to do rezoning for two-family. I'd rather just do the single families. And hopefully my daughter could have a home.
As always, the board is sympathetic and always wants to, increase the number of residents and work with residents. If you retain a professional, first thing they would really need to do is look at the surrounding area and sort of do that evaluation to see what size homes are surrounding you, as well as what size lots are surrounding you.
You can do that yourself too, by going down to tax map, and get the maps and sort of figure it out. And what you're saying is it's 3/4 of the way favoring you. Then we would behoove to look favorable in something, I think, most of it. So, I mean, before you hire somebody, you can do a lot of the legwork yourself, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, well, before I draw a blueprint or anything, I want to get to that point where it's feasible for me to do that.
Yeah, so right now, the board doesn't have any information on the number of properties that surround you that are undersized. And as was mentioned, it's anything we advise you of sort of non-binding.
Yeah.
But the more undersized lots that are surrounding you, the better argument you have for what the proposal is. The more variances you need, the heavier of a lift the application
All right.
becomes. So I noticed that on your zoning schedule, you need variances for lot coverage, impervious coverage, number of stories. I guess you're proposing a 3-story home?
Well, it's because it's technically the new flood zone where I'm at, just
Right.
into there. So it's not really 3 stories.
Right.
It's
It's built up on.
it's built up.
Right, and if you're in a flood zone, the bottom level does
Is
not count as a
not-
story. It can only be used for parking and
Yeah,
storage.
it would be a
So
garage.
then
under-
it would be for a 2-story.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, as the chairman indicated, you can review the tax records for the borough to see what is surrounding you. If there's a significant number of undersized lots, I think what you're proposing, if it's in line with that, would have good justification. If you do that analysis and 10%, 15% of the lots are undersized, you have a tougher time ahead of you to try to justify.
And that's within 200 feet, you're saying, or 1,000 feet.
Typically like to look at 200 feet and 500 feet. I think that both gives you sort of an area and a regional analysis. And then oftentimes it may be worthwhile to even look beyond 500 feet. 200 feet is obviously the most important, but I think 500 feet is as well because.
That's where he has to notice too, right?
Correct, right. If you're applying for the subdivision, you're noticing all property owners within 200 feet anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, those are considered typically within development application, the most impacted property owners. That's why notice is required to be sent out to those property owners.
Do you understand what he's talking about?
Yeah, no, I
I
understand.
mean, if you go to talk to your neighbors and say, hey, look at this is what I'm doing, and they all say, I don't have a problem with it, that's half of the.
Yeah, obviously you'll have to be noticed to them anyway, so.
That
All right,
what you're looking for?
I guess something like that. So basically I just got to do the legwork to find out which lots are which and.
Yeah, and like I said, if the predominant development pattern is 50 foot
Yeah, it's
wide.
probably 60-40 split, something like that.
Yeah,
If you can find out if there's other people setting, looking for impervious, forgiveness and lot coverage for forgiveness, that helps you too.
Yeah. All right. Good enough.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I wish they were all this easy.
Next on the agenda, we have application number PB 25-01, Tenon Auto Service, Inc., preliminary and final site plan, 2069 Highway 35, South Amboy, Block 428, lots 1, 2, 2.01, and this was carried from our August 6, 2025 meeting. Mr. Pape?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, board professionals, and public. Kenneth Pape on behalf of the applicant and the attorney was Kyle Bryn Pape, and have the privilege and responsibility of representing your applicant. The applicant's representatives are here again this evening. Ms. Ying and Ms. Ling and Mr. Wang are here. They are the
With Mike.
closer. Okay. They are the representative of the landlord and the operator. We have a revised plan to present to the board this evening, a plan that was filed approximately September 5th with the board. The plan is intended to be responsive to the comments and concerns that were brought to the applicant's attention through comments from the board professionals, and from the public. When we were before you at the last meeting, there was members of the public that pointed out there were activities on the property. That was clearly a mistake on our client's part. It was an error on our client's part, for which there's an apology to the board. If anyone examined the property, you'll notice that it was gated immediately after that meeting, and it's been maintained with a locked gate. There's no activity taking place outside of that building. There's a single bus that's sitting in the lot, and the letter that was issued by Mr. Mashansky back in the winter said that one bus could be there. But we begin with a presentation to you of a revised plan. And I don't want to steal the thunder of Ms. Nissen, but the revised plan includes a number of items. You'll see that there's regrading along our residential neighbor's property. That regrading is to capture the storm water that was leaving our property and going onto our neighbors. You'll hear that it's a combination of a berm and swale directing that stormwater into the collection system. We also changed the landscape area. The ordinance requires a 50-foot landscape area. We had moved that up to 100 feet. We've now gone to 130 feet of landscaped area between us and our residential neighbors. That entire area is proposed to be a combination of a reforestation, a naturalization, and a landscape area. The bus storage facility has been reduced in size. There were 10 stalls originally. There are now 6 stalls. And the orientation of the buses has been changed so that the rear, or where the exhaust portion of the buses is pointed towards the north and away from our neighbors. So the bus storage area has actually been moved further away from our neighbors and reoriented. There were a number of commitments that were made the last time, all of which will restate on the record. With your permission, I'd like to call Kiara Nissen, who we can remind is under oath, and your board accepted her credentials. She is a PhD and a PE, and I'll remind her that she continues to be under oath as a professional engineer. May we so proceed? Thank you. If we could. Okay. There was one point that I don't know that we made very clear. I know that the board members were aware, but for the record, this is a permitted use. We're not asking for an activity that is not expressly permitted by your ordinance. And it is a permitted use on a property that is zoned for this industrial activity on a state highway. And it's a site that has been developed for decades. The site layout, the driveway configuration, the number and placement of the buildings are all pre-existing conditions. So these are not conditions that your applicant is creating. In fact, what your applicant is attempting to do, and I think with success,
is to cure a number of defects that occurred over time. I think the defects that occurred over time were not as a result of any approvals granted by this board. They were clear, it appears that they were clearly a result of prior property owners expanding their use to beyond that which had been permitted. And we're looking to roll all of that back and lower the intensity and increase the protections. With that, I'm going to ask if Ms. Nissen, remind you that you're under oath, and ask if you could identify the exhibits from which you're going to make a presentation. And I didn't mean to steal your thunder. You're testifying, and please place all the details of the revisions.
Okay, so I have two exhibits today. I have our updated landscape plan, which is, sorry, sheet 4 of our plan set. And I also have printed our truck turning plan, which is the last sheet in our sheet set. Overall, like Mr. Pape just said, we listened to the concerns raised at the last meeting and increased the buffer, the landscape and buffer area. Our client authorized our firm to make the following actions. This plan shows a reduced bus storage from 10 buses. We previously had 2 rows of 5 here. Now we are showing 6. And we reoriented the buses. So this is the truck turning path showing the buses pulling head into the storage space. So the exhaust faces north in towards the site rather than towards our neighbors. Before we had them backing into the storage spaces. This reduction in storage area reduced the amount of gravel area on site and replaced that with an increased landscape area by approximately 1,500 square feet. There's also a fence added around the bus storage area to reduce, the fence is intended to reduce the sound and light towards the neighboring properties. It's proposed to be 6 feet tall and vinyl. In addition, we added some grading in this area along the southern border of the site, trying to create a channel, so a combination of a channel and berm, to ensure that this water is heading towards our existing subsurface infiltration basin rather than any heading towards this neighboring lot. And I'd just like to remind the board of the commitments that we made as part of the previous hearing, that there was a request for video inspection of the subsurface infiltration basin, and if necessary, vacuuming repair of that system, the creation of an operation and maintenance manual for the existing subsurface infiltration basin. Also a commitment to the inspection of any subsurface soils and areas suspected of millings, and an agreement to replace any unsuitable material to ensure the long-term success of the plants here. Back to our landscape plan, that this will all be landscaped. So there was some comments about suspected millings in the area. When the plants are installed, we will look for the millings and any unsuitable material will be removed. There will be no washing of buses on site, no sanitary disposal from the buses on site, and the single-family residence will be converted to an office and storage use, which eliminates an existing nonconformance.
So the property as it currently exists has 2 uses. It has a residential use and it has the commercial use. The residential use is not a permitted use. And our client is terminating that. It will not be a residence. The building will continue. It's a structurally sound building, and it'll be it's proposed to be the office associated with this operation. There was also a discussion from the board's professionals and our neighbors with regard to a driveway that had been created along the southerly edge of the property. There's never been a legal driveway along the southerly edge of the property, but a driveway occurred. there was apparently it was the last property owner created his own driveway going out on the southern edge of the property out onto Route 35 without the benefit of a DOT permit, without the benefit of any approvals. We indicated that we abandon that driveway and go 2 steps further. That area will be landscaped so that it cannot be used. And we offered a restrictive covenant to the borough that expressly vacates any rights of ingress or egress on the southerly side of the property so that that is enforceable. But then we were offering to vacate it, replace it with landscaping, and enter into a restrictive covenant. There was a question that was raised as to how is the sanitary waste from the buses handled? This is a maintenance facility, not a depot. Our client's depot is located at 264 Henry Street in Brooklyn. That's where the buses leave in the morning and go back at night. That's not where their maintenance is done. This proposed facility is for maintenance, but the sanitary waste that's in the buses and the cleaning of the buses, the interior of the buses, takes place at the Henry Street, Brooklyn office. We stipulate that those activities would not take place here. There is a second facility in New Jersey located at 7061 Highway 35 in South Amboy that also has those facilities. And upon occasion, our client has done the sanitary waste disposal with them. So those facilities exist. That's where they do that business. The activities that we're proposing are permitted. The variance relief that is identified on the plan is existing variance relief, with some of that variance relief being rescinded. There was variance relief granted in 2001 to the applicant that allowed this greater intensity and reduction of landscaping. As you can hear tonight, our client is not asking for relief in the landscaping. He's looking to increase the landscaping. Last month, when we were here, Kiara went through some of the waiver relief. One of the waivers was landscaping in the parking lot. We're asking for a waiver not to have to put landscaping in the parking lot. We'd rather put the landscaping where it means something between us and our neighbors. And also there was a waiver for hairpin striping of our parking stalls. We're asking for a waiver of that requirement. There is a slight encroachment of the gravel area into what is technically the front yard setback. The front yard setback as it approaches the jug handle. I'm going to ask here if she could identify where that is, and we're asking for that waiver. That waiver gives us the ability to pull the buses away from our residential neighbor, if you would.
Yeah, the front yard, again, the front yard goes along this line on the jug handle for Route 35. So the encroachment is this area here where we are proposing a bus. And there's a little encroachment in this area here that we use for maneuvering.
So that's a waiver that we're asking of the board. There's been discussions with your professional engineer. Your professional engineer made himself available to ours to go over matters. We appreciate the guidance that was provided, and hopefully we've incorporated that guidance into the plan. There were hours of operation that were made as commitments, and I'll just make certain that they're before the board. We indicated that the hours began at 8 a.m., concluded at 6. There were no exceptions to that. We indicated that on Saturday, our client wanted the right to be able to operate from 8 to 2, but that would be an occasional and not a regular pattern. There is no overnight shift. There is no second shift. We also stipulated that there would be no activities, no maintenance or repairs of any vehicles except inside the building, and wanted to make certain that that was before the board. I believe, Kiara, that is our presentation. Mr. Chair, members of the board, that is the commitments that are made by your applicant. As I indicated, we're a permitted use, and what we're doing is we're trying to dial back and get this site closer to what the ordinance requires and further away from the violations that we inherited. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple. Mr. Pape, can you just ask the applicant to confirm that the buses that they will be providing maintenance for are in fact their buses that they own?
I actually went over that with Mr. Wang as recently as 5 minutes ago before we started. He owns 15 buses. No buses that his company doesn't own will be serviced here for any purpose at all. No exceptions.
And I'm assuming those buses are marked marked as your, how are they marked? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to direct
Yeah.
the question, but the question is how are they marked?
Is your ownership identified on, ownership is on this, yeah, commercial vehicle ownership's on the side of the vehicle.
Okay. And the second question I have might be for the engineer. I believe that according to the engineer's report, and you may be addressing this later, the Freehold Soil Conservation District, you require approval from that as well?
Borough of Sayreville, you take that internally. You're.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if in fact there are requirements after that, or how does that work then? Because I'm used to that in other jurisdictions
Yeah.
where.
Everywhere but Sayreville.
Essentially, the township engineer reviews the plans on behalf of,
Freehold Soil.
or in lieu of a separate district, and they check it against all the standards.
Yeah.
So they'll have to make sure that they're properly vegetating the areas after they disturb them, final stabilization.
Yeah.
So it's all the same review. It's just done by the borough instead of a separate act.
Councilman, if I could make a point, with the Municipal Land Use Act changed bonding requirements a few years ago, but there's one bonding requirement that wasn't changed, and that is landscaping that is between you and your neighbor. So we have an obligation not only to install what we're committing to, but to bond it with the municipality. That bond is a 2-year bond followed by the maintenance bond. So you're welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So at the last hearing, there's some new stuff that I think wasn't agreed to. I just want to make sure we have it correctly. So no washing of vehicles at all on the site.
No washing.
Emptying of the bathrooms. Great.
No washing, no sanitary waste.
Talked about all of the activities occur, the buses being completely inside the building.
Com-
So no buses sort of hanging half out of the building. The building is 50 feet deep, give or take, and the buses are 45. That's sufficient room for the vehicles to be in there and to be worked on without any.
We confirmed with Kiara doing the turning template to get the vehicles in. She also provided our client with a template showing the vehicle inside the building. So the answer is yes, and those representations are made.
There was some operational testimony. I think we had some gaps last time. I'll sort of just ask my questions and whoever the appropriate person is to
Sure.
respond to it. And this is sort of outlined on page 8 of 9 of my letter that talks about, how are waste oil and other vehicle fluids going to be stored and disposed of? I don't know if you want to just hit on page 8 of 9, 2A through D. I guess D has now been addressed as there's no restrooms or no emptying of restrooms.
Yeah.
But waste oil, vehicle fluids, batteries and tires.
Surely. Our client has entered into a contract with Lorco, Lorco. We provided a copy of that earlier to your secretary for the file. Lorco is a licensed waste oil and other material hauler and disposer. They're a local company in Matawan. They've been around for generations. They also, through subcontractor, Lorco through subcontractor removes batteries and tires. So all fluids that are removed from the vehicles will be removed from the site by Lorco. We've provided that proof. And Lorco also has provided that they have subcontractors who take the tires and the batteries.
Right. And then their hours on this site will mimic your testimony.
Inside of our hours, correct. As is the trash removal, which we had said the last time, inside of our hours.
The only other comment I had in my letter is that while you increase the grassed area, you haven't increased the number of plantings. I like the density that you had of the plantings on the prior plan, and I realize you're sort of already exceeding the minimum requirement. But is there the ability to increase that density just to better buffer the neighbors from the proposed use?
The answer is an absolute yes. And then there's a qualification on it. You take it as you choose. No problem increasing the materials. That's not an issue. But we'd like to do a combination of naturalization and proper planting. I think that if we allow that area to naturalize, you'll get a very dense, it's not going to be an area that is mowed or maintained. So the answer is yes, increasing landscape material to your satisfaction or the satisfaction of the board is acceptable, but we'd like to explore with you a combination of landscaping and reforestation.
And I appreciate the open lines of communication we've had thus far. I'll happily work with your engineer to make sure that we sort of accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Mr. Planner, what do you think? I guess based on the,
Thank you. They addressed, I think, I was just going through my letter. I think the vast majority, if not all, between the last hearing and the changes that they made for this hearing. I like the fact that they are now situating the buses 130 feet from the property line and reorienting them to where the length of the bus adds an additional 45 feet from the property line. So that's a significant change from a planning perspective as far as the compatibility of uses. And yeah, nothing further at this point. I think everything's been addressed. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
We have to do, okay.
Mr. Chair, a brief closing after the public would be appreciated. Thank you.
go ahead.
Can I just ask?
Okay. Can ask more than one.
I'm sorry, I remember the last time when the neighbors came up about the fumes going into their homes. Is there any way that you can prevent it? Because it travels in the air, the bus fumes and everything. It's something that they smell.
We moved additional 30 feet. 50 foot was required. We went to 130 feet and agreed to landscape it and agreed to install a 6-foot high solid fence. We reduced the number of buses from 10 to 6. We turned the buses around so that the back of the buses faces away from our neighbors. And we stipulate that no activities will take place other than inside the building. That's the, I mean,
There's no warming up of the buses outside, no running the buses.
the buses are turned on, as Mr. Wang said, as soon as the compressed air in the bus is in place, which takes 1 to 2 minutes, the bus goes inside.
Somebody pointed to me earlier, there is a regeneration process that happens occasionally with diesel engines nowadays, especially from the late 2015 and up. Is what happens if the bus goes into regeneration? What are we gonna do at that point? Because that could be a half an hour sitting idle. Raised idle.
Why don't you come up so we can hear your microphone? He remains.
So Mr. Wang was.
Okay, so it's
Wait, just one moment.
okay.
Is it was placed under oath? I remind you that you continue to be under oath. He is a representative of the operator. If
Yep.
you would.
So I just answered the regeneration question. So for now, the bus, the regeneration always doing on it, running on the highway. So right now, after 2015, before 2015, when the regeneration need to do the park region. That's why you say you need to take 30 minutes to do the regeneration. But right now, we all use the DEF technique. So it do the regeneration by itself on the highway when the bus is running. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of your buses are up to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members have questions? All right, Mr. David, that's not the question. I'll take the motion to open up to the public. Thank you. Second, all in favor? All right. Anybody from the public like to speak, please state your name and address. Good evening.
Bob Duffy, 111 Merritt Avenue. I want to tell the I want to apologize to the chairman for my outspeak at the last meeting when I spoke after the closing of the public portion. I want to apologize for that. As Mr. Cornell says, I'm very passionate when I come up here. So.
Aren't we all?
Forgive
him, Mr. Duffy.
All right, thank you. I have a lot of questions to the applicant. Am I allowed to do that?
They added new testimony, so you can
Okay.
ask questions.
Want to give that to Wayne?
Yeah, we want to Mr. Wang.
Yeah, I want to ask.
Well, Mr. Wang hasn't testified further this evening, other than on the cogeneration point. So
I just.
Oh, I thought you had questions on the changes.
No, I'm asking questions on the applicant.
you can ask questions of the testimony that was placed before the board this evening.
Correct.
I didn't know.
So basically, questions you can ask relate to what was put on the record this evening.
I can't ask more questions?
Not being cross-examined. That was, his examination took place at the last meeting.
It's up to
Okay,
the applicant if they want to make themselves available or not on answering questions. But you are able to ask questions about everything that was testified to today. And also you have the opportunity to make, a closing.
okay. I wanted to ask Mr. Wang, the CME report that he received or his attorney received when he was in the process of buying the property, and you all have a copy, it was into evidence last meeting. Why he didn't take care of this list from CME and to this day isn't taken care of.
The applicant can choose to respond or not respond to that.
He doesn't have to respond to that? Okay. Okay. I also have an email from the Director of Code Enforcement and Construction. Mr. Pate stated he got a letter from that office giving the approval to put a storage trailer on the property. I would like to enter this into evidence.
What's the date of the letter and the sender and the recipient?
I am writing in response to your telephone inquiry regarding the above property. I spoke with the Borough Zoning Officer and Andrew Majesticat about the instance of the shed permit. He never received an application or given permission to the installation of the trailer shed. I will have him investigate this situation and respond accordingly. So I'm just,
Copy of that for the board. I just
okay,
want to note for the record, that will be Exhibit 03. And Beth, if you could.
Yep.
identify it.
The email is from Kirk Mick, K-I-R-K. Mick is M as in Mary, I-I-C-K. He is the Director of Code Enforcement, and this email was sent on Thursday, September 11th, 2025 at 4:10 p.m.
Sent to you, Mr. Duffy.
okay.
That's correct.
I don't want to interrupt Mr. Duffy, but I do have the letter from Mr. Mashansky that expressly states that he's allowed to have storage. I could leave that.
We have dueling letters.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring to the attention of the board, that I gave pictures of the buses on site and stuff, and also washing of the buses. It was 43, from the last meeting to today is 43 days. I went to that site every day, periodically different times. And they violated that oath that Ken Pape said only one bus on that property was allowed. They violated it 32 times. What I'm trying to portray to the committee is that once you give them the okay to do what they want to do, there's no enforcement to hold them to that. They'll say and do anything to get in there. And once they get in there, then they do what they want. We had that problem with the prior owner. And there was 3 people on the board that wasn't here when we were up here with that owner. And it took us 4 years to get him a judge to shut him down. That's how bad he violated it. Now we got to go through this again. If they were trustworthy, I would be up here fighting for them. I don't think they're trustworthy. From last meeting to this meeting, 32 times they violated it. Some days there was 4 buses, another day there was 3 buses, another day they're washing 2 buses. And I pick up the phone and I call. If I did, by the time the police come there, or whoever comes there, they're not doing it. And all of this application and all of this tooting, whatever, the engineers, not one word of the EPA. This isn't an auto shop. This is a bus repair shop. There are EPA laws and regulations that they didn't even address here. That alone, you should knock this application down. Yeah, but if you're giving them the okay, if you're giving them the okay to do what they want to do, I got to go after the state to go after them. They should be. That's why I wanted to ask Mr. Lang some questions. He's in business. He knows the regulations. He has other property. He has other property where he's keeping buses. And where is somebody going to be at 3 o'clock in the morning when he's dumping the bathrooms into the sewer? I got to sit there and watch 24 hours? It's not fair to me. I'm a resident here.
For this use would require them to have all necessary permits. So if they need EPA permit, that would be a requirement to obtain a certificate of occupancy. Without those required approvals, the same way they need Sayreville approval for soil erosion, the same way they need Middlesex County approval. If they don't have those approvals, they don't get a certificate of occupancy. Without a certificate of occupancy, if they're operating on the property, you call the zoning officer, he comes up to them, issue them a notice of violation. The same is true where you're concerned about granting the approval and then them doing whatever they want. We'll have a if the board were to grant the approval, we'll have a resolution of approval and we'll have approved site plans. If at any point they're deviating from those approvals, the zoning officer can be called and issue them a notice of violation. If they continue to do it, they can be issued a stop work order and they can no longer be able to occupy the property.
If I just said that, we went through it for 4 years. 4 years. I went to court after court after court after court. 18 months in the municipality court. Okay? They tried to make all sorts of deals. They couldn't make it. Finally, I got the council to hire an attorney and go after them in Superior Court. And after 8 times in front of the same judge, the judge says, I'm done with you. I'm shutting you down. I get what you, but it's not fair to the residents to be sitting there watching all the time. Just say no. Just like when Berlou was in front here, and I kept saying, we're going to court Thursday, he's going to shut them down. Don't give any approvals. And they withdrew their application, and then the judge handed them down, shut them down. I'm just trying to explain to the three new people on the board that wasn't here during all of that.
More arrogant, he was a little more, I mean, he broke the law and he didn't care.
Yeah.
These people came here the first time, you know, I'd like to hear him say about the 32 times that you witnessed between now and the last time we met. That question for me is important. But when we look at this, they did everything that you asked, plus.
What happened here 10 months ago, a year ago, when they said they would take care of this, knowing that they would take care of this? It's 10 months. They didn't do it. 32 times they violated it. And then in the 8 months or 7 months while they were there, before they had an application here, it was a mess over there. Pollution is pollution. You put a bus 100 feet, 135 feet, and these aren't new buses like the gentleman said. There's a lot of stuff with these old buses, and there's nothing. And all right, they went from 10 to 6. Now, I want you to picture this. I don't know where you live, okay? Wherever you live, look down the street, not your neighbor, your second neighbor, and see a bus there, sitting there idling for hours. One bus. Just picture that in your mind. And your grandchildren are there, and your kids are there. What is that? One bus, 135 feet away, where you live. They want to put 6 now, where we live. I understand they're trying to do everything they possibly can for us. The landscaping, great idea. I don't want landscaping. I want privacy. I want those big, tall trees full. They want to come in and trim what's there. Right now, we could see right through. In the time from the last meeting to this meeting, they put 8 more floodlights on the building. Well, if you ain't working at night, what do you need floodlights for? Thank you for listening to me. I hope I didn't offend anybody. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak from the public?
Jeffrey Short, 116 Merritt Avenue. Here we go again. I brought some pictures because pictures say 1,000 words. I actually brought some pictures from the last time so they understand what they're up against, because just nobody wants to believe about these asphalt grindings. All right, so I'll show you the pictures. We'll talk about them. Any questions you have, I'll answer. Thank you. Yeah, I need help. This is mine. If we start with the pictures on the left-hand side of the folder.
Give us 1 second. Gonna have to mark this in.
Sure.
I'll share.
Sure, thank you. All good. Yeah.
So if you could just identify, it looks like there's 2 different
Yeah,
packets.
the pictures that I'm starting with on the left, those are pictures from what's happened previously. So we can explain to everybody what's going on again.
And you took those photos?
The first two or three might have been, Google shots. Because I don't have a helicopter like they asked me last time. The first picture, huh? Yeah. That's when I moved into the house, the first picture. That's what the site looked like. As you can see, my house is on the left. I can't see that circle from my house when I moved into that lot. You can see the trees are all alive. You can see that it hasn't been decades for that site. That was, I think, 2017. So I believe that was 217. There is a date on on the Google one, yes, the third one. The second picture is when Berlou first moved in. You can see the vegetation that died around the circle. Now we can see my house. You can see him building a road up along that side. The third picture is just another Google picture because it's dated, so you know when it was taken. But that's also Berlou when he really first started up on the right-hand side. Hasn't done much work up by the road. The next picture is when they put the drainage system in. You can see the drainage system, how it's built. And you can see the gravel stone that was put over it. The next picture is after the drainage system is done, when he starts bringing in tandem loads of asphalt grindings. I stopped counting at 50. The next picture shows all the asphalt grindings throughout that area in front of the drainage system. The picture after that, you'll see the little orange rollers at the top there. They're hard to see, but he compacted all that asphalt grinding. Last meeting, we said we had a soil sample done. Well, evidently they didn't do it in the right spot. The next picture is the road alongside my house. That's asphalt grindings. Hasn't been removed yet, still there. That's the hill, the circle down that road that he decided to excavate around so he could make it bigger. What he did to kill the vegetation was he done road salt on it. And as you can see, the trees are dead there around that circle. And from the first picture, they were fully alive. After he did that, he continued building the road. And you can see the amount of asphalt that's there. That's grindings. I don't know if they know how much grindings they have to remove to make this work. But in that paper that Mr. Duffy showed you, the property owner, when he bought that property, was told the stipulation to build there or do what he wants to do, how to take care of this problem. So whether you pass it or not, that property owner is supposed to take care of this. That was part of the purchase deal. The next picture is contaminated soil that killed all those pine trees at the top of that road alongside my house. Okay, it's been removed now, but all the trees are dead. There's not a branch on any of them. Because the grade was changed, this is the water that ran through my backyard. I had to build a berm there out of the stone to force the water away from my house. The next picture is the water that flowed to my house. The grade has to be fixed. And the last picture is the amount of water that flushed through from their property and my property. That was what I contended with that a lot of people here didn't know about. The other group of pictures on the opposite side is me driving around when I could. The first picture, it's dated August 4th. You can see the man power washing the engine compartment of that bus. The next picture is another bus with all the compartments open. That's also dated on the 6th. It's very hard to see. I don't know which picture shows it the best, but alongside that building, if you look close, there is a white 2-inch PVC pipe that leaves the building, and it does run over to the sanitary sewer. The next picture is also the guy power washing. This picture here is showing a bus that they say they didn't have any buses there. The next picture is another bus next to their storage shed. That's on August 8th. They don't have time to remove the asphalt, but they had time to build a garden. Go figure. August 16th, Saturday. We don't work on Saturdays. That's at 6:53 PM. I came home that Saturday from down the shore. You can see the garage doors are open. The next picture is more than one bus. 827. That's another picture on 827 of the buses. 9-2, cleaning the bus, same area where the water washes down to the sanitary sewer. This is also 9-2, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4 buses. How many buses were they allowed when they left the last meeting? Anybody remember? 1. So who's lying here, me or them? Pictures are 1,000 words. Actually, there's 2 more pictures. They also show the buses. And yeah, these were extra pictures that I had. The last item I did print out is about EPA requirements. I don't have time to look this stuff up. It's not my job. But somebody's got to look it up and adhere to it. You're saying it's not this board, I get it. But unless they shouldn't be granted any of this unless they have this stuff covered. How can they be in business and not have this covered and not bring it here and show it to you? If I was looking for this, I would have brought mine. So, I mean, I don't know how much more I can show you. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
For the record, we're marking the pre-August 2025 pictures as 04, the post-August 1st, 2025 pictures as 05,
Okay,
and the EPA
06.
requirement list as 06.
all right. I didn't have time to get anything on the
Oh.
air.
Do you have any questions of Jeff? Okay, thanks.
Good evening. Paula Duffy, 111 Merritt Avenue. They saved the best for last, by the way. You and I have been leading this applicant by the hand through this lengthy, drawn-out process. They reconvened 3 times to try to make things right. And it has not happened. Why has it not happened? Because this property is not suitable for their purposes. They will say anything to get the approval. It is your responsibility as board members for the betterment and the protection of the people of Sayreville who live here, that you deny this application. Because if this applicant does not have you to answer to, he will continue to do what he's been doing for the last 10 months, which is doing business his way with no regard for the neighbors, for the environment, or for the laws of our town. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Last time, anybody else from the public like to speak? If not, I'll take a motion to close the public. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Chairman, can I ask Mr. Papa a question before he closes?
If I may, I'm going to ask, I want to respond to some of their comments and then ask for a 5-minute recess before I begin a closing. Is that acceptable? Yeah. Thank you. So there was a time that I was hired, and it was similar to the time that the clients purchased the property and the CME letter was issued, and our office was hired and the professional engineers were hired, and we began working with them on preparing an application to bring before this board. We did not respond directly point by point to CME, but we were mindful of the CME's recommendations, and we began the process that bringing an application before you. In January of 2025, I had multiple meetings with Mr. Mashansky. And on January 6th, I wrote to Mr. Mashansky and I asked for permission for our clients to do certain activities. I'll give you the whole letter, but I'll read the important part. I asked for permission to have a container in the back of the property for parts and tools for the building renovation. That was point B. There are 4 points. Mr. Mashansky's response was okay on points A, B, C, and D. Mr. Mashansky, in writing on January 7th, gave our clients permission to have the storage shed in the back of the property. Here's the thread. You begin with the back page, obviously. At the very, very bottom of the page, you can almost miss it, is Mr. Mashansky giving us that permission.
Mark, that is, what are we up to?
A6 now.
So we did not ignore CME's guidance. CME was no longer the board's engineer shortly thereafter, and that's when we began working with Mr. Wilder. With quite a list,
A7, not A6.
Yes, Exhibit A7.
quite a list of the sins of those who were there before us. I'm sure that our neighbors know those sins even better than we do, but those are not the sins of this client. The installation of millings, we have not stated that there are no millings. We stated we didn't find any millings, and we stated that we would excavate all areas where the millings are going to be, where the landscape materials are. And I pointed out, we know that we have an obligation to bond all that landscape material. We did not clear all of the areas that the prior property owner did. We're looking to restore them. We didn't create the driveway. We're looking to remove it. We didn't regrade the property into our neighbors. We are looking to reverse that with the drainage system that we've submitted to your engineer for review. All of those all those egregious activities that preceded our clients are not what we're asking this board to approve. We're asking this board to approve a plan that has all of those corrections and has all of these improvements in it. If I might, Mr. Chair, this is where, unless there's further questions of me or the applicant on those points, I would ask if I could have a 5-minute recess before doing a closing.
By me. Back at 3:20 up.
Back on the record, Mr. Chair. I neglected to make one point. The AI generated document that Mr. Shawty shared with you states the EPA doesn't say they're EPA regulations. It says that the applicant is responsible for being consistent with state and local requirements. We, since the last meeting, we explored what they are. The only requirement that we were able to identify, and we're certainly welcome to be charged with looking for others, but the only one we could find was that all of the materials that were generated had to be removed by a licensed hauler. And that was, so we entered into the contract. The EPA guidance doesn't state that there are EPA requirements. It states that the state and local requirements must be adhered to. Local is through the health department, state is through the DEP.
Mr. Pieper, I don't have that document in my
Oh,
file.
I think I have an extra copy.
Okay, great.
I hope I do.
If not, you can email it to me tomorrow. A,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A8.
What is that?
And this is a recycling service guarantee from Lorco, LORCO Petroleum Services dated 9/11/2025 for Tina Auto Service.
These are the people that we've hired.
Okay.
I asked their clients to explain bus movement on the property. What he has told me is that there's one bus that was brought there by a tow truck and dropped there. That was not with his authorization. It happened. It's a bus that has to be hauled away. And he also told me that buses that are owned by him, his bus drivers did on a number of occasions stop at the site, and they were directed to remove their buses from the site. There was no maintenance that was done. Wish that it hadn't happened. But the commitment that you have from your client, from your applicant, is to abide by the commitments that he's made. The suggestions made by members of the public reading into his mind and attributing to him wrongdoing or attributing to him bad behavior shouldn't be before the board.
What about the washing of the trucks outside?
The last time a vehicle was washed was before we were here, before you, Mr. Chair.
That's not what the pictures show us on the.
The pictures that were shown were a series of pictures from August 4th to August 6th, and I believe that's where you have your picture of the bus being washed.
I got more. I just didn't know.
Well, what you have is what's before the board.
We'll come back again.
Okay, the picture that was shown to the board shows a bus being washed either on August 4th or August 6th.
He hasn't done any washing of the vehicles or any dumping of storage.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Wang, the question that is posed, reminding you under oath, the question is posed that since we were here on August 6th, there has been no bus washing and no disposal of any materials in the drainage system.
No.
Mr. Taylor, the orange pipe that's on the property.
Orange.
Pipe that's on the property that goes to the storage
No.
up near the bank. Let's take use. Why is it there?
Do you know what we're talking about?
I know what he's talking about. I don't know the use of it. I observed it on site. I don't know the use.
Does it daylight up into the air?
There.
Please show us on the plan.
It was not picked up on our survey. Right at the corner, I believe is what you're talking about, towards about here on the property, between the garage and this, storage building. There are two manholes, that are near the sanitary sewer easement. It was not picked up by our survey. And I observed it on site on Monday when I was there, and I reached out to our wastewater engineers to ask if they knew the use, why it's an odd placement of a manhole and a shallow pipe, and I reached out to our wastewater engineer and have not heard back.
Wish I had the answer for you, Mr. Chair.
Supposed use of it is.
But we don't know what it's used for and why it's there.
We do not. We can further explore. We know that we didn't put it there, so, yeah.
Not using any.
No, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else have any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Chair, one question. This CME letter that we've been talking about, will all the issues in that letter be resolved if we grant this application?
I believe, Mr. Mueller, that has been our goal. There was a list of the CME letter pointed out all of the things that were wrong with the site, all the things that had to be corrected. We chose to do that by bringing a formal application before this board. So I do believe that everything that is required will be.
We have confirmation of that?
And as a condition, it can be required to completely comply with all of the
Sure.
recommendations or requirements in the CME report.
If I'm provided that it's not in conflict with the guidance of your current engineer. It is your applicant's intention to be a good citizen. They purchased the property for a specific purpose. The purpose is a permitted use. Everything that they've offered to you is intended to bring this property into conformance with the requirements and away from the violations. We are in a zone where this is expressly permitted, and we're sitting there on Highway 35 in an industrial zone. Respectfully, we ask that the board consider the relief favorably. I thank you.
I just have one question about data who stated that there are operations on the property. Or maybe we're set to have operation. Buses on the property.
As Mr. Wang told me, there was one time when a tow truck brought a bus onto the property and dropped it. And the others were buses that he owns, where drivers stopped at the site and they were told to leave the site. That's the one bus that's there. It's not, the bus, that bus has been there the whole month. Mr. Mashansky's letter allowed us one bus.
4 buses at a time, so you're telling me they all came at the same time to be on the property?
Buses were on the road, came to the site, they were directed away. No bus repairs were taking place.
Have one question. So with the requirements from the CME letter, when do you plan on having those done by?
If the board grants the site plan approval as requested, the conditions will be that all of these the plans have to be, go through resolution compliance with your engineer, and all of the requirements of those letters have to be installed on the site
By when?
prior to a CO being issued, which is how it works.
Looking for a period of time.
Okay.
They need extensions, but I think with their, which I've gone to it, it's not abnormal that when there's notice of violation on a property, that stuff has to occur and the property change hands and the applicant come before seeking approval for their use as well as correcting any of the prior violations. Their indication is that they'll address those comments, those deficiencies when they're doing the other plan changes that are requested. So all the additional landscaping facilities, also doing the, investigating the site for the millings in those areas at the same time.
Mr. Chairman, and perhaps this is more, yeah, sorry. Perhaps this is more comment than question, but certainly, Mr. Pepe, if you want to answer. I look at the dates, and certainly if the applicant was trying to be persuasive in trying to assuage concerns by the board, I'm not sure why there would be 3 or 4 instances on different days where there would be multiple buses on site. I would think that it would have been pretty clear to employees, at least on one occasion, and that it wouldn't happen again. And I'm looking at 825, and there's certainly a bus there that's completely in disrepair. I'm not sure if that's the one we're talking about, but it's a blue bus. It looks much odder than the other buses that are there. The other issue and question and concern I have is I'm not persuaded by the argument for stormwater management. that we have a camera to ensure that the drainage isn't stuffed up as a condition of any approval. I think from my perspective, I'd be much more persuaded if in fact that inspection took place prior to. And I don't know if there's any thought about that from the applicant or not.
The commitment was that the full system would be inspected and that the results would be provided to your engineer. And if vacuuming was required, it would be done, or replacement of pipe, it would be done.
You're telling me after all these amenities are done in that corner, that there's gonna be a storm leaving your side of the property into the other Merritt Avenue?
That's the requirement that we have to meet. I'm going to ask our design engineer to confirm that that's the design that she's presented to this board and your engineer for review. The question is your design going to capture all of the stormwater from our site and make certain that it does not travel to the Merritt Avenue residential properties?
Is this on? It's on. Can you hear me if I just speak loudly?
Good.
Okay. The site as designed, we have graded in the area adjacent to the properties on Merritt Avenue. I sent a document to your engineer that the area over here historically drained towards the commercial building over here. So we did not want to add water to this system. This was how this system was designed with the 2001 approval. This system was not designed by us, but we are just ensuring that the area that was designed to go towards it, which is the area that would drain towards these properties. The area over here drains towards the commercial property over here as it was designed and approved on the 2020.
Straightforward. No stormwater from our client's property will enter the Merritt Avenue residential properties.
Correct.
Your design addresses that requirement. Your engineer can share his perspective.
A lot of the issues they can find out that have traditionally talked about. I think we're going to listen to the academy approval and change, of course. I do agree that the proposed regrading, where they're creating a swale along where that illegal road is built out to Route 35, that swale will direct stormwater runoff into the underground system that exists. And portion of that little swale that closest to 35 will continue to drain towards the existing commercial property. A lot of the problems that are being experienced by the neighbor are stemming from the prior development.
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
I see that you have a full board this evening, and some of the board members in attendance weren't here in August. If we could just go through that procedure, Counselor.
Who was not here in the August meeting?
The August 6th meeting?
Yeah.
I was not here.
Debbie, I'm sorry. Judy was not here and Norrin.
Were either of you able to watch the video or listen to or read the transcript of that meeting prior to tonight?
I read the transcript.
We'll get him to sign up.
Yeah, so you're not eligible to vote on this, and you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that courtesy.
You've heard your professionals. Applicant, what's your pleasure, board? Motion to either deny or accept.
Make motion to deny.
On the second,
Okay, do a roll call, 1 second.
you don't have to give a reason, but it's good if you do.
I just feel that in bad faith, if you weren't on the property or property, I don't see it only up to the board as far as doing it. There are certain things that you need to do. but they're not supposed to do now. That's my major concern.
Okay, so I have a first and a second. So we're going to, Mr. Candell? Yes to deny? Okay. Ms. Larman?
Yes to deny.
Mr. Mueller?
Yes, again, for the similar reasons regarding the credibility of the applicant, the issues with the groundwater, and what I believe to be unsatisfied conditions in the CME letter that were conditions of approval of the property.
Ms. Sataka?
Yes, deny.
Mr. Williams? Yes. Yep, you gave your comment. Councilman Zabrowski?
Yes to deny.
And Chairman Tai?
Yes. There are only other reasons, and I would think it's a credible witness. And the address would be engineering concerning the EPA.
This application has been denied.
Mr. Chairman, board members, thank you all for your deliberations and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Pape. Next on the agenda is old business, new business, administrative matters. Our next meeting will be held on October 1st. We can open to the public. Can I get a motion?
Motion to open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Anybody from the public like to speak? Anybody from the public like to speak?
On matters not
Not
on the
not
agenda.
relating to the last,
Application.
okay. Anybody else like to speak?
Take a mo-
Motion to close.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can get, yep,